Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. As you can tell from our brand new intro, I'm your host, Niko, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. Nice intro. Looks good. I like it.
Yeah, I was about to say, this was like, I never showed Chris before we started the episode here today, so that was a live reaction for you guys here. But shout out to Julie, of course, one of our other co-hosts here on the Late Night Chat Network, who's frequently nowadays on the Late Night at the Movie show. She also does like a lot of like the design work for like, you know, our logos and like, you know, like little videos and stuff that we put together with graphics. And stay tuned because at the end of this video, there's also like a little short kind of outro thing that she did up for you guys as well. So make sure to tune in. So whenever you actually check out the video now, that'll be kind of our little intro there at the start. So yeah, I quite like that. That was pretty cool. So shout out to Julie once again. Thank you for that. But yeah, this is episode 196, Chris. 196. We're getting close to episode 200. And, this is our weekly comic book review show. You can check it back in with us every week to hear, you know, us talk about the things that we've read, you know, give you some ratings and reviews. You know, we'll look over the art and all this kind of stuff. Make sure to hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you're reading. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And this week, we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of September 10th. 2025. And as always, spoiler warning, if you're worried about getting your books spoiled for you, you can always read your books and come back, check out the playlist, or, you know, just be forewarned and just check them out, because sometimes it's a good way of like being notified of something maybe you should be reading. Maybe something will sound interesting to you that you weren't planning on checking out, right? So, you know, we don't really try to go. I was about to say, we sometimes try to like avoid big spoilers, but we don't anymore. We're here to talk about the books and what happened in them. So we got to spoil things, unfortunately, but that's a big concern of yours. Then yeah, like I said, you can always skip ahead. We try to leave all the books that we're talking about scrolling across the bottom of the screen there for you. So if you see something come up, you're like, oh, I don't want to hear what happened in this yet. I haven't read it. You can always jump ahead a few minutes, right? So anyways, all right, Chris.
All right, let's talk comics.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Talk some comics. I really got to get myself one of those, like, what are they, koozies or whatever the fuck they call them, the beer koozies. I'm giving these guys free advertising here and all our millions of views on these episodes.
Maybe they'll sponsor us. You know, we are Canadian.
Yeah, there you go. All right, but you're wearing the right hat for it. Here we go. Punisher Red Band #1 here today. This is the first up on the docket. The awaited return of the Punisher proper. Not that stupid fucking Shield Agent book or whatever the hell that was. Yeah. It came out. Anyways, yeah, what'd you think, Chris?
It's good. I liked it. This is a no-nonsense Punisher title. I don't know what they waited so long for them to do something like this. You know, kind of got a bit of that Jason Bourne theme. You know, he's you know, just in the middle of a mess and has no idea where he is, how he is, and what he is. And you know, hey, I'm all for it. I don't need to know what happened to him, how he got out of his last predicament where he was floating around in some nether world.
Weird world.
Yeah, weird world. I think there is a bit of a throw or a nod to it, because I think the one time where he's kind of trying to get himself stitched up or cleaned up after all these bullets and stuff. There's that, like, he's got like some sort of handprint on his back, so maybe that's just a little bit of a nod to his time with the Hand, or being the Beast of Burden, or whatever he was. But other than that, there's other things going on here too with the Kingpin. You know, I was happy to see him in a comic, and you know, him and Punisher go hand in hand.
Tombstone.
And yeah,
in this.
The only thing I don't like about Tombstone, they make Tombstone seem so bad here, which I like. But then, you know, if you're reading other comics, like, how could Spider-Man team up with this guy if this guy is such a badass? You know what I mean? Like, that's like, that's be like, you know, no, like, there's no dealing with him. You got to put this guy away. But anyways, that's just besides the point. But and is there a scene there where the Kingpin is working for Tombstone, or is that somebody else that's like in the basement?
I didn't get that.
Okay, I thought there's one scene where like it looked like, you know, the Tombstone was giving orders to Kingpin. Like, well, what the heck's going on here? I didn't know about that, but and it looks like Kingpin's sort of got control of the Punisher. When we find out sort of what happened to him, we can find out he's got some sort of bug in his head.
No, that's not Kingpin. Tombstone's talking to another guy that kind of looks Kingpinish in this scene.
That's right. That's what I was thinking, but
yeah. No, that's not him. I see what you mean, though. The character, there's a guy that's chopping up the bodies for Tombstone that he's talking crap to.
And I think they have like Kingpin sort of narrating over top of that. That kind of just threw me off.
Because it cut from the Kingpin scene to the scene with Tombstone directing this guy, like talking crap to him. Yeah. I see what you mean there. What'd you think of the art on this?
Yeah, no complaints. That was great stuff.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this artist, this Julius Ota, but yeah, it looks good in a lot of places. I did quite like it. I almost feel like this red band is like, I was going to say, you're right about the Tombstone being like hardcore in this one compared to like obviously the Spider-Man. I don't want to say this is out of continuity, but it's almost like the red band is like the Punisher. It's like the Max line almost now, I feel like, like back when in the 2000s, when they had the Punisher Max line, it was the more rated R version of the books. I think that's kind of what the red band titles are now, essentially, right? So in a way, those were not clashing with the current day continuity of the books in the Marvel Universe, those Max books. It was almost like they were their own continuity in a sense, right? So I kind of guess that's what's going on.
Closely related to the main universe, let's say.
Yeah, so while it isn't taking place, I guess, in the current day continuity, it's kind of...
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think they're going for with these red band stuff. But I agree with you. This was a solid start. It didn't it gave me just enough to be like, okay, yeah, I'm liking this direction. And I also like that Punisher kind of struggled a bit in this. Like, he killed a bunch of people, but he also, there was a great scene of him being banged up and showing you how he had to treat himself in this scene, in this issue, which I thought was necessary because you got to remember, this is just a man. He's just a dude. He has no powers. So I actually quite like that scene, right? The aftermath of him saying that to that old lady, hey, listen, I'm going to need you to finish this stitching me up here because I'm going to pass out in a minute on you. He's just
any old lady would take this guy to their house.
Right? He's just
if that was me, you'd see this guy lying on the ground.
But it's almost...
You turn around and walk the other way. That's it.
Very much so. But it was almost like a back to basics approach, kind of. You know what I mean? He's still a badass. They show you that in this issue. But then they're also his back against the wall, Punisher's going to get messed up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I liked that. I liked that they took them to, it wasn't just him slaughtering people the whole issue. They show that he can still handle himself. But, listen, in the aftermath, he's a human, right? So he's like, I need to go and stitch myself up now. I dug that. I was like, okay, that's actually a really cool scene that they included in this issue. I guess the red bandness of this, though, the blood and gore of it all, I guess it was just some more graphic scenes of seeing him messed up and I guess seeing the bodies getting chopped and all this kind of stuff. So, it kind of felt all in the realm of Punisher, though. There wasn't a moment in this some of the other red band titles where I'm like, whoa, this is the real graphic scene. You know what I mean? This felt necessary for this series in a way. So yeah, I dug it. It was a good start. I'm looking forward to more. I know this is only a 5-issue mini, this red band, but I hope that they expand this into an ongoing or something, whether or not Benjamin Percy's attached. I know they're doing also the Marvel Knights Punisher series, a mini series that's going to be coming out soon, but I think that's going to be more in line with that time period of the Marvel Knights Punisher that they had in the 2000s. I think that's going to be a little different probably than what we're getting here, right? So yeah, either way, though, I'm glad that we got some Punisher coming out again, and this is a solid start. So good stuff. What'd you give this, Chris?
I give it a 3.75. Nothing to hate here. Nothing blew my socks off, though, but they didn't do it wrong. And I'll take that for now.
I totally agree with you. Yes, I was going to say it's on the verge of a 4, but nothing too big happened in this first issue where I'm going to go that far, but it's verging on a 4. It's headed in the right direction. So I'll also go 3.75 out of 5 on this. Solid start, though. So no complaints from us here. And we're, big Punisher fans. So All right, next up, you got One World Under Doom #7, which I didn't get my copy this week. It's in the mail, so to speak. Apparently, you had to reorder this one. My copy didn't show up. So, what'd you think of this, Chris?
It wasn't only me. I didn't get mine either. I had it on my pull list. And to be honest, if I don't get it, I don't really care. This One World Under Doom is stretched way too long. Reading the story, it's a perfectly good story. I can like the beats that Ryan North is trying to put out there. They're all decent. They're noteworthy. They're creative. We have what do you have this one? Basically, it's Reed Richards versus Doctor Doom, and kind of Reed Richards pulls a little trick out of his sleeve that he's been studying magic, and he's sort of kind of quantified it, or kind of turns into a science. I think this whole story is built around the tagline where you have, Doctor Doom, Sorcerer Supreme, and then, Reed Richards. Oh, don't worry, I'm Reed Richards, Scientist Supreme, and they kind of, the whole everybody's sort of fighting them, and then Reed kind of faces them on the astral plane. And if I remember correctly, I still think Reed gets his freaking ass handed to him at the end of this. So, if with only a couple more issues to go, I'm happy for this to end. This maybe should have been a 6-issue series. This has been going on way too long.
I agree. It has been. I mean, this has been like almost a year event at this point. That being said, I do think it's kept up my interest throughout. I think it's been a solid event, but I agree they could have probably did this in 6 or 7 issues as opposed to 9. I did really like Reed Richards, Sorcerer Supreme, though. I'm not gonna lie, that was a cool. Supreme. Scientist Supreme. Yeah, sorry. I liked that. I think it makes sense because this is the one thing that he's never been able to kind of meet Doom at any point of the comics that I can recall, because he is just purely a man of science. Now, the thing that separates the two is that he went into the dark mystic arts, and like kind of, that's always been like, because he was also a man of science like Reed. They went to the same school and all that kind of stuff and were rivals. But this is the thing that kind of pushed him over the edge and in a way made him a bit like more powerful than Reed, right? He just always gets in his own way. That's the whole deal with Doom. It always has been, right? So because of his ego and stuff like that. And Reed is better than him in many ways that he isn't in that sense, right? But he's always been more powerful. But now he kind of met him on that level too, where it's with kind of this whole Scientist Supreme thing. And like you said, he still was getting, he was still getting his ass whooped a bit here in this issue. But I liked that. I thought that was a natural leveling up, let's say, for the character in this, in their history, let's say. So I quite like the decision that he made by bringing it to this point with the Scientist Supreme thing. I thought that was kind of clever of Ryan North, and yeah, I dug it. But otherwise, yeah, this wasn't my favorite issue, and I do agree with you that it has gone on a tad too long. But I still I'm enjoying it. But we'll see how this all ends and what the new status quo is moving forward. I mean,
status quo, like, this is supposed to change everything in the Marvel universe and all the other. If you're reading any other comics that sort of aren't involved in this, you'd have no idea any of this is going on.
I'm more interested to see how this affects Ryan North's Fantastic Four run, though, if anything.
Yeah.
Right? So I honestly think, though, like, this is not gonna, this is gonna be such a throwaway thing, this Reed Richards thing. But for a moment in an event, it was cool. So that's all I'll say about that. But what'd you give this?
I'll give it 3.75. I was going to give it a 3.5, but it is good stuff. It's just getting long in the tooth for me. That's all.
No, I agree. Totally agree. 3.75 as well for me too. And yeah, also getting long in the tooth for me. Yeah, between this and I think they took a month off, and then there's all these tie-in things. It's honestly like a year ordeal here at this point, right? So next up, we got the return of Powers with their 25th anniversary with Powers 25, issue #1 here. And now I think Powers is coming out through I think it's Dark Horse. Yeah. So they've bounced around. I mean, it started over at Marvel with their Icon imprint, which was like kind of like their like creator own imprint that they had. And yeah, now it's over back at Dark Horse here. Or actually, I think it started there and then, or it started at Image and then it went to Icon with Marvel because Bendis had an exclusive with them. Anyways, here we are 25 years later. Powers #1. Chris, have you ever read any Powers before?
I've not read any Powers, and I was reading the intro to this, and they're basically telling you, if you haven't read any of this, don't read this. Read the other stuff first. I said, screw that. I'm reading this anyways. I did like the way they explained with that little black and white page.
That's the creators.
The creators there kind of trying to steer you proper. But, I figured I could figure out things, what's going on here. And this seems like a bit of an interesting world. Got the Powers. Are the people with powers, is their last name Power too or something? Or is that just sort of happenstance that this is a detective power?
So,
or is it more of a job title, not a last name?
So it's been a while since I've read Powers. I've read all of Powers though, but it's been a while since like the last ongoing series had come out. From what I can remember, they just refer to people with superpowers, like heroes in this world, as powers. And basically this police department has to basically intervene and police the superheroes in a way, because there's murders that happen between superheroes and there's things that happen between like, superheroes and villains sometimes where the superheroes turn out to be the bad guys. So they're basically there to kind of keep watch over them in a way. Right. So that's basically like the basic setup of the series is that's, but as you can tell, even from this issue, there's complications in that and having to be the police for the superheroes essentially. And in this issue, they basically say like, they can't intervene as much anymore as a result of something that the mayor or something like, or the president, like
the government edict or something says they're not allowed to intervene, and then I guess that made all those powers. Police department, they're all upset because they weren't notified or consulted on any of this. I know. I think it's an interesting take that they have on this world, and if this goes on for a few more issues, I'm happy to read on and see how it goes.
Yeah, I was a fan of Powers. Like I said, I own like all the hardcovers of the older series that they've done. I was a big Bendis fan in his earlier years. I did find some of the dialogue in this a bit janky, if I'm being honest, like the return to, but this does feel familiar to the world that they've established. It is the same artist. It is the same writer. So by the end of the issue, I was kind of like, I was feeling it again, and I'm totally in, like you just mentioned, for the, if this is a mini series or whatever, I'll definitely continue reading it because I'm interested to see where this goes. Having been a fan of this series, and also like this other cop that's the main kind of character that we're following so far in this, that Dina Pilgrim, that she used to be the other main cop that was the focus of the series, but now like she kind of reappears in this issue halfway through, being like the older cop that, you know what I mean, is like, and this is like the new cop that they're focusing on in this. She was one of the two main characters of the Powers series. Now her partner, who had superpowers, we found out in the series, he's gone away now. Like I think he died. Something happened to him. So, but then I guess the hook at the end of this issue is it looks like Dina Pilgrim was at the scene of the crime that she kind of comes across at the end of this issue, because they kind of see her badge on the table, Dina Pilgrim's badge that was like in a poker game where it looks like some shit may have went down. And then the other cop's like, yeah, I noticed that she's a legend or whatever. And so it looks suspicious, so to speak, right now for Dina Pilgrim of Powers, if she's in on whatever's going on in this murder essentially right now. So that's kind of like the hook they got you with at the end of this issue. But that's good to know, though, that you jumped in and you weren't that lost in that sense, though, with this world, right? So, I think it's pretty accessible as well, too. But there's obviously a lot that has gone on with some of these characters that they're introducing to you in this issue. But yeah, that's, otherwise it was pretty good. I just thought some of the dialogue, Bendis is a fan of his dialogue, and sometimes it's like it's very dialogue heavy, all of his stuff, but sometimes it doesn't sound like he's writing real people, like how real people would talk in real life. And I felt like that in this issue a little bit at times, but otherwise, yeah, it was decent. What'd you give this?
I'll give this I'm just gonna have to give it a 3.5 though. Like it is good stuff, but like I say, a lot of it's new to me, and but I am, like I say, interested in how it's going.
Yep. Like I said, because of some of my dialogue issues I had with the dialogue, I'll also give this a 3.5. But yeah, interesting so far. This guy that they caught with his head like hollowed out. I don't know what the hell's going on there. So it's always like these weird homicides and mysteries because they are superheroes in this book. Yeah. That always made it interesting in that sense, right? So, and this is kind of the last panel I'll show you here where they left it off with Dina Pilgrim's badge on the table and whatever with this dead dude in the room. So yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see what happens there. Next up, Transformers 24, the conclusion of DWJ's run on the title.
I got my issue here.
Yeah.
Wow, what can you say about this? It's been a great run. I thought it was a good ending. There's a few things that I kind of just had to let slide because I didn't know what was going on. But freaking holy moly, Optimus Prime gets his ass kicked in here. And then, I think they have Starscream where he's like on death's door. And then what? Megatron wants him to witness sort of the end of the world or the end of his humans. And he impales him on that spike. And there's other things like, I know it's that Ultra Magnus guy or something. I don't know what he did, but there's Omega Supreme showing up there. I'm not exactly sure what his whole deal was, where he kind of, he goes, "Oh, I am like Old Talk or something," or whatever his name was. I'm not sure of the significance of that.
Is that who floated above them and then Starscream was like looking up? Like who was that?
Yeah, like that's the only time we've seen him, and then
right,
and then we see him here kind of coming up, and Starscream just like kind of went like, I don't know if he was awestruck or something, but he was kind of like motionless and couldn't do anything.
That was the only part I was a little confused by too, but that's what I got out of it, is that he was awestruck by him floating overhead, and it gave him pause for a moment. And then when he kind of came to, it seemed like he wasn't down with like whatever was going on there. It seemed like at the end, and yeah, that's what I got from it as well, was that and then that gave Optimus the opportunity to get the upper hand there at the end. But yeah, otherwise,
good battle scenes there where he kind of like leaps at him, then transforms into the truck to ram him.
That was
and then freaking transforms back. Oh, that's some freaking Daniel Warren Johnson freaking powerbomb business there. I'm surprised he didn't draw this last issue. I thought he'd throw it in there a bit. But I think he had a big hand in this with
I agree with you. I agree with you, actually. It would have been cool to see him kind of do this last one, but good for him though to stick with his artist. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but you're right. Usually they will at least find to do even one page, or they'll ink it or something. You know what I mean? You're right. There's usually a little bit of a send off, right? But who knows? Maybe he's working on something else at the moment that we're not aware of, right? Because I guess we'll
not anything better than this. That's for sure.
This was a fantastic issue, though. I agree. He really left it all out on the table here. Like, I don't think he honestly, these last couple of issues leading up to this were really well done. And I don't think he left anything like for me, I was very satisfied. He 100% stuck the landing. And yeah, I think he just left it all out there, honestly. Like the lead up for this showdown between these two characters was the thing that you should have ended this run on, and is what he ended his run on. So like, I'm not, no complaints here from me. And now like he even like wrapped up the story with these humans, and now it gives Kirkman like a clear runway now to be like, okay, now I'm coming in and I'm doing this now, you know what I mean? Like, this is, he didn't really leave a lot, like, I think, for Kirkman to have to, like, loose ends to kind of.
We have to tie up before Kirkman gets into his business.
Yeah. So great stuff. Great run.
Yeah.
Honestly, 4.25 for the whole run, honestly. Like, between him, Daniel Warren Johnson starting it off with the first 6 issues, drawing it. And then I would say, like, George Corona coming in and honestly maybe even surpassing I think his look for the book is actually, I actually prefer as much as I love DWJ's art, he, I think, surpassed him on this book. I mean, don't get me wrong, he had a lot more issues to kind of do that, but he's great on this book, George Corona. So it looks great. So what would you give this whole run with the DWJ?
Yeah, the run, easy 4.25. I think we've had a lot of favorites, best of the week that were Transformers, and for a comic that I didn't think I'd be that interested in. I've always liked the Transformers, but I've never really bought their comics.
Same.
And for this to be something like that, I thought it was pretty good. And I'd give this issue, easy 4.25 as well.
Same. Yep. Yeah, great end to the run, and let's hope Kirkman can keep up the quality of the book here. But we got him.
I imagine he's going to start doing his crossover stuff. I think we're going to get the Joes invested in this. Who knows? Maybe some of those Void Rival guys might be, maybe not the guys, but at least some of the robots might be showing up. Who knows? Maybe we're going to see our buddy here. What's his name? The freaking the clone come by.
Oh,
this world starts Sucklax or whatever his name is.
Skuxoid.
Skuxoid, not to, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, looking forward to Kirkman on the next issue. Dan Mora.
Looking forward to Dan Mora. I want to see how he does this. I've been kind of searching for some preview pages or something, but I couldn't find anything out there yet.
Apparently they're out there. I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day, and I said that to him. I was like, I don't know if his clean style is going to be good for this book. He said he saw some images out there. I don't know if he's just like, just like bullshitting me or whatever, but he's like, it's going to be good. I saw some preview pages. I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, all right. Okay. He got me hyped up, this guy I was talking to. So I was like, because he was kind of like all in on the Energon stuff, right? As I've been. So I was like, yeah, I'm really excited for what happens next. We'll see what happens here. But that being said, this run, solid, good stuff. Yeah. All right, Chris, X-Men of Apocalypse Alpha #1.
Yeah, I just read this here. This is good stuff. This is what I want X-Men to be. But just some of the tropes they're using again, it's reminding me a lot of those giant size X-Men where, they're trying to fit Miss Marvel in and do some time travel to get to these key points in time and change the future. If they didn't do any of that stuff previous to this, I think this would be a good story. And if this was running in the actual X-Men titles, this would be a good story. But since the way they roll this out, I know it's the 30th anniversary of the Age of Apocalypse. I don't know. I just can't take it seriously. It's good stuff. You kind of find out there's the X-Men seem to be broken up, or the mutants are broken up into two sides. And, I'm not sure who's the good guys or who are the bad guys. And, it's all the good characters. I think Havoc gets killed here by Gambit. We have Rogue is married to Magneto. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but I don't know. I just can't take it seriously. So
I'll tell you this much. I'm really enjoying your Italian boy, Simone Di Mio's art in this.
Oh, the art. Yeah, I can't go wrong with that. But yeah. Anyway, I don't even want to say what they do with the regular X-Men comic, and they can't do anything like this. And they have some good artists in there that just decide not to show up and, say, oh yeah, we're gonna have Stegman here for the first panel in the first issue. We're gonna put, guest artists for the rest of it.
What?
Have some baloney story.
Morph was in this issue? Nice.
It's all the characters you want to see.
Yeah.
There's none of these baloney. Maybe the only baloney character I didn't know about is freaking Blink. And it seems like that's some character that can
Blink's awesome.
Teleport.
Blink's awesome. I like Blink. Yeah. I mean, these are the Age of Apocalypse characters, right? So I mean, right? That is what this is essentially, right?
Yeah.
So,
and then having this coincide with the Age of Revelation.
I don't think this is I don't think this has anything to do with that, though, right?
Well, I know they're having them run both at the same time,
right?
That are sort of similar stories. It's could easily lead someone to be confused.
Very much so. Very much so. This looks great, though. I think this is his Marvel debut, right? I think so, because they were talking about. I think this is Simone Di Mio's debut in Marvel, if I'm not mistaken, because prior to this, he was doing DC stuff. I know we just seen him at Fan Expo, and they were talking about how he's going to be working for Marvel Comics now. I don't know if he's done anything prior to this. This might be his debut, this issue, because at least to me, I never noticed his name on anything else. This is great looking stuff, though. I got to say, he has a good fit. He's a good fit for the X-Men. It looks like. He's a
good fit for doing a lot of characters and having a lot going on in all the panels. We'll see how it goes, but I think it'll be a fun read.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It seems to be lacking some substance to it, I guess. I don't know. I give it a 3.75 though.
3.75. All right. All right, and then I got a few here. I read Imperial War Nova Centurion #1. One of these one shots that you didn't read, Chris, and you won this one, buddy. I think this was a smart choice. This is written by Jed McKay, Jonathan Hickman, I guess, plotting it like he's doing with all these, or helping with the plot or whatever. He's all these one
trying to sell the book. That's what he's trying to do, but put his name on it.
He's architecting it. You know what was bad about this one? I mean, listen, I've read some Marvel Cosmic stuff. I've read some of the Guardians stuff that Dan Abnett and Lanning, those guys had done. But if you don't have a good knowledge of Nova, I don't know. You would be completely lost with this one shot. So this is Richard Rider, Nova, and I have some knowledge of him, and the cancer verse, how he was stuck there, and he was thought dead, and I know some of this stuff. I've read some of this stuff before, but even though I have read and I have some knowledge on it, this was still confusing to me. They're really referencing a lot of stuff that's happened with this character, this version of the Nova in the past in this one shot, where, again, this is a one shot that has to do with this event. I mean, it was a lot of baggage going into this one shot, I will say, because there was almost like they're trying to get that all out of the way, because as you mentioned when we talked about these one shots last episode, these are setups for these new ongoings that these guys are going to do. So I guess Jed McKay is doing the Nova or Nova Core, Nova book that's going to be coming out in the next couple months. So it's almost like, you could tell he's a fan of this character. He's done his homework on this character, but they're kind of giving you a refresher of all these things that have happened to this guy prior to this one shot. But I felt like it was unnecessary in the sake of this event. Even Hickman, I felt like during the event didn't go into all this with this character. So I don't know. I just felt
write your story, let it ride. We can figure it out. We don't need a history lesson for every character that comes in.
And that's what half of this issue was. And then they kind of brought you back to the forefront of his role in the event in this issue. But then I was like, I didn't really need any of that. And talk about a confusing issue for anybody who has never read anything about this character. I felt like Jed McKay was just this is for all the fans of his that know all this stuff. But even though I've read some of that, even I was a little confused because it's been so long since I feel like I've read that stuff. So wrong move, honestly. I got to give this a 3 out of 5 based on that alone. As a one-shot issue to an event that you're clearly using as a way to set up a series somewhere down the line, rehashing all this stuff about this character, I think, was unnecessary and just made things really confusing. By the point that they were actually getting into the issue and his involvement in this one shot of the event, I was like, I really don't care about any of this at this point. So art was good. 3 out of 5 though. Just really unnecessary. Thankfully, I've just been reading these digitally. If you were picking up all these one shots, I think the hit rate is less than the ones that have been it's been less than the bad ones at this point, in my opinion, honestly. Or just unnecessary. It just it really felt unnecessary. Like you said, they're using these as setups for series where it's just just give us a series at this point. The Black Panther one I think was good. The She-Hulk one wasn't bad, but everything else, I don't really care. The Exiles one, I guess, again, the Shi'ar stuff or whatever it was that, I guess it's, that's some good stuff in there too. But just again, give it to me in the main event. Make it 5 issues instead of 4 if that's what you really wanted to involve all this other stuff. I don't know. Just no point to half of these other than setups for issues for series. Undead Iron Fist #1. I took a flyer on this one. I am a fan of the Iron Fist, and this is Danny Rand Iron Fist coming back from the dead. This is written by Jason Liu. We've talked about him on the show here before. His past series really haven't clicked with either of us. Like we've tried out a couple of the things that he's been writing lately, but he's been getting a lot of gigs lately with Marvel. He's been writing a lot of things. So being a fan of this character, I was like, yeah, let me check this out, see what this is all about. And this Galan artist was on this, who I'm not familiar with either. I don't know the first name of the artist. My bad. I forgot the first name. I just read the last name on the cover there. But yeah, this was decent. I liked it. I mean, it has a whole scene with Luke Cage mourning him, and then later on you find out, like, he sees his he sees his grave. Clearly something had happened to him there, and so it turns out that he's back from the dead, and he's out here, whooping ass in the Lower East. What's not to like? I thought this was good. It was a fun issue. I really like the look of him with the way that the mask is over him now in this. He's got this arm that's like this golden arm now. I haven't really been up to date with everything that happened to him prior to this, but it talks about him fighting in the underworld, having to climb like this big mountain at one point. There's like, all these trials and tribulations that he had to go through to kind of come back from the dead. He's obviously channeling some new power now, being back from the dead. He's fighting like undead, like demons. He's basically like identifying like people that are like undead on the like walking around amongst mortals now, it seems like. So I dug this. I think this is gonna be like a 4-issue miniseries. I'm definitely gonna read the next issue. I'm a big fan of this character. I thought it was fun. It was a pretty solid start to this guy's return. So again, I'm not really sure what was happening prior to this, but this made it pretty accessible, where I don't think you need to have read what happened before. They kind of explained some stuff in this, but you definitely, unlike that Nova book, you don't need to know all of Iron Fist history to enjoy this issue. And it just had some, like, a bunch of fighting in it. So nothing wrong with that. He's fighting demons and stuff like that, or undead creatures in the bodies and the hosts of mortal beings. So yeah, I dug this. I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. Not bad. I'll definitely probably check out the next issue. And the artist, this Galan artist, was pretty good too. Some definitely it looks sketchy, or like pencil work almost, that like it kind of looks like the shading is done by pencil, or that they just applied the colors over the pencils. I don't know. I don't really know what the art technique is that they're applying here, but it looks different than a lot of art that we see. So I kind of gave it like an interesting looking flair. But if you're a fan of Danny Rand, this is his return. So and it's him in a different form that we haven't seen before. So not a bad reintroduction to the character. I don't know why Miles Morales showed up in this issue. That kind of was weird though. I was like, it feels like he's showing up all over the place here. I have no problem with Miles.
Not him, it's Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I love Miles Morales. I just think like they could have. He did not need to be in.
He's up on him, okay?
Yeah, he did not need to be in this story. Like, it was just because, hey, I was just swinging by, so here I am. So I get it. I guess you wanted some more like street level characters in this, but because Iron Fist is definitely one of those. But not necessary. I think this issue would have been fine without him showing up personally. But anyways. Then they had White House Robot Romance #1. I didn't even know about this book. Kind of went under my radar, but I seen it there, and I figured I'd check it out, read this digitally this week. This is from that distillery company. They actually had a exclusive with Diamond Comics, so all their comics have been delayed recently. So who knows when this is supposed to come out? But now I think they found new distribution. But they had an exclusive deal, this company, with them. All their issues are like those oversized issue that's kind of like the DC. What are those ones called? The DC, the bigger sized issue ones that they put out. Whatever that line is, Black Label, that they sometimes put out like the bigger sized issues. That's all the distillery does. They do like 3-4 issue miniseries of like oversized issues, like the magazine size format. I picked up a couple of their hardcovers. I mostly usually wait for these in trade, but anyways, this is Chip Zdarsky and this artist Rachel Stott. I think Tamara Bonvillain is the colorist on this. This was pretty weird and fun, actually. I quite liked this. So basically, the title really says it all. It takes place in the White House, and this is, I guess, in a future time period where the White House has like robots basically working for them in different positions of the White House. So one of the robots is like protects the president essentially, and there's another robot in this that is the chef. Like they prepares all the meals for the president. And in this timeline, whatever this maybe future time period that this book takes place in, the U.S., which I guess maybe Zdarsky took some inspiration from maybe some of the things happening in current day timeline. The U.S. and Canada are sort of at odds with one another. They're like kind of, I would say, not like full out war against one another, but there's stuff brewing on either side of the border, let's say between these two, between the U.S. and Canada. And there's this whole other story going on in the book that by the end of the issue, you find out there's like this whole coalition of people that are working in the shadows, essentially these Canadians working within the states to basically, I guess, take them down or whatever. And one of the guys that works on the robots for the White House, I guess he's been doing something with the robots to kind of make them go haywire. And then he's kind of brought in to I guess his boyfriend or whatever is revealed that he's working for this like secret Canadian coalition or whatever. So he's like being experimental with the robots, this guy. And because it looks like he's an ally, they basically bring him into the fold at the end of the issue and reveal this to him. But other than that, there's like a romance happening between the true robots in the White House. Basically, this chef robot falls in love with the one that's protecting the president, and then she finds out, it's such a weird premise. This one, they find out that they're going to basically decommission him because he's an older model. And then they find this out, and she's like, you don't have to stand for this. Let's escape, essentially. And then they go against their code and what they're supposed to be doing, and they fight off these other robots, and they flee essentially together, like these young lover robots. they flee away from the White House, and they're on the run, and they basically are trying to track down the guy who was working on them prior to, like, their makers, essentially the guys that fixes the robots and created them. They're now AWOL and they're trying to track him down. But the president, by the end of this, they are losing their shit because this one that was his security has seen and been exposed to all of the secrets that have been going on between the White House and like the stuff that they've tried to hide, shove under the rug and all these things that are happening between them and Canada. Like, so basically, if he exposes whatever the hell he's learned from being his security, it's bad news for the states and for the White House, essentially. So also they talk about the prime minister in this, and Zdarsky, with the nod to another fellow Canadian comic creator, it's Prime Minister Lemire is the name of the prime minister in this. So it's kind of fun. Honestly, really weird, wacky plot of this. I think it's only going to be like a 3-issue series. This is, because of the size of these issues, it's like, 48 pages or whatever. So I gave you just enough to kind of get interested in the story, I would say, in this issue. I give this a 3.75 out of 5. Not bad. It's a weird story. I don't know if I would have checked it out otherwise unless I saw Zdarsky's name on it. But definitely a different type of story for him, honestly. I quite liked it. Then you got Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum, number 2. This basically continued like the first issue, where at the end of the first issue, they talked about how he's basically testing out all these new kryptonite colors, and he tests out the second one now. And at the start of this issue, they kind of jumps to the fact that he's like a huge kaiju size like monster now, essentially. Like, this one makes him grow, and he can't stop growing throughout the whole issue. And then it takes the Atom basically to grow to his size and fight him to try to take him down, because Luthor in this issue exposes him to red kryptonite, and red kryptonite makes him, it's like the madness kryptonite, makes him like turn bad and like try to lose control. So knowing that he's testing out these kryptonites as he discovers now in this issue, Luthor kind of messes with them And all of a sudden, he's fighting all his hero friends in this. But this was a much better issue than the first issue, I would say. Still really love this team that's responsible for the Ice Cream Man series. This Morazzo, I think, I forget, Maxwell J. Prince is the writer, but Martin Morazzo is the artist. Really cool seeing him do a big 2 book, because he's kind of definitely got more of an indie style that we're used to seeing in that Image series. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. A lot of great Batman moments, a lot of great scenes of Superman not being able to control the effects of the kryptonite. He busts through the Fortress of Solitude because he keeps growing. His head just busts right through the ceiling of the fortress at one point. And it's kind of just got Batman running around trying to figure out a solution to how to help out his friend in this issue. And then by the end of it, Shazam shows up, and whatever happened to him when they kind of the subsiding effects of the kryptonite in this issue, whatever they find to kind of calm him down and heal him by the end of this whole growing thing he had going on. He basically is childlike at the end of this issue. I'll just jump ahead to that. So Shazam shows up and he's like, what the hell's going on here? And all of a sudden he's like he's like Superboy, basically. He looks like Superboy. He's like, Shazam shows up. He's like, is that Superboy? And everyone's like shocked around him because this is like some sort of effects of whatever happened. And now I guess he's going to mess with another kryptonite next issue, and we'll see what happens there. So it's kind of just like a wacky, almost like golden age kind of like approach to Superman, like where it was like wacky back in the day and this kind of stuff. So I give this a 4 out of 5. I actually quite like this issue. I thought it was better than the last one. So good stuff. Looking forward to the next one. Red Hulk number 8. Not much to say about this one. This is just continuing this fun tie-in to One World Under Doom, where the government's basically and Doom have been trying to kind of run down Red Hulk. And that's basically been the book, and it's been, along with Machine Man and what's his name, Deathlock. And every issue has just been like a good action-packed issue of them on the run and having to, in this one, basically, again, he got in prison at the end of the last issue, and they help him out. And it looks like he's finally going to work something out between the government and him, the general here. And then something else happens by the end of the issue that makes it not possible. So this has been a good, fun, action-packed book. I think Benjamin Percy, this is what he kind of excels at. It's had interesting characters in it, good art, Jeff Shaw and art. It's been good the whole way through. It's just a solid book. 3.75 out of 5 this issue as well. All right, Chris. Absolute Batman number 12.
Woo-wee. Let's talk business now.
Got this Paul Pope variant for this one.
It's got the A cover. What can you say about this comic? The only concern I have now is like other comics going to try and copy this formula or something, because this is kick ass in here. And I guess you find out kind of what happened to Batman. I guess while he's escaping, he runs into Wayland as whatever the Killer Croc, and the Killer Croc wants Batman to basically kill him, and Batman can't bring himself to do it. And Wayland sort of gets upset about that, and then and that's brings us back to the credits, let's say. And you find out that Alfred has found Batman. Batman's been passed out for 20 days, and this is on top of however long he was trapped as a prisoner of Bane, which he was there for a while, because how many times did Bane beat him up and freaking heal him up and then beat him up again? And then you find out what happened to all his friends. I think in the last issue, you kind of saw Bane creeping up on all his buddies. And holy smokes, he freaking put them all through the ringer. I think that's where Bruce finds out what happens to them. And we have like Cobblepot. And they all seem to have like a bone to pick with Bruce now, that they might this might be their villain stories. That's why they're going to hate Bruce, is because he's sort of he's sort of the reason this happened to him, which I wasn't really too thrilled about those beats, let's say. And I did see an interview with Scott Snyder on, I don't know, some other comic podcast, and supposedly that is not the case, but that could be, who knows. He doesn't really come out and say what's going to happen, but he is saying that this crew of people are going to be sort of in place of the Bat family. So it doesn't sound like they're all going to turn on him. It looks like it's just going to make it look like they're going to turn on him. But at the end, they're all still going to be down with them. But just big things going on. And then when you think Bane is sort of back at the base, you got Alfred. He pulls out his minigun. It looks like they're ready to throw down. And then, you get the reveal of Absolute Catwoman. And, she looks great there, too. But the stuff they did to like, was it the Penguin or what's with Oswald? Or it's Oswald Cobblepot, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like he just gets freaking beaten to a pulp.
Well, how about Edward Nygma, the Riddler? What happens with him? Like his whole head is like he thinks
he was bashing his head until his frontal lobe was gone, and then it does seem that Batman does have some of that venom running through him too. So there's a lot going on here. This art is freaking just right on, spot on for this story, and can't say anything bad about this.
Honestly, this series has been on such a run. This arc, these last few issues,
this Bane run has just been freaking bananas.
This is honestly, this is amped up so much. This is honestly probably my favorite book coming out at the moment. This is such a crazy arc. It's so demented, this story. It's the things that are happening to the characters in this, it's insane. Like, it's just, I know last issue we were flabbergasted at the events of what had happened there. I guess some of those things were inside his head, although the thing with the venom was actually happening and stuff did happen to his friends, but it wasn't him. It was Bane, I guess, that came in. They got them all, as you learn in this issue. And it's just like, yeah, Nick Dragata is killing it. I have nothing bad to say about this current art. This book's amazing right now. Like, this is actually one of my favorite things I've read by Scott Snyder in some time, too, because Scott Snyder, his whole deal for a while there was that this guy was really bad at sticking the landing. Now, mind you, he hasn't actually finished this series yet, but this guy was always a really good idea guy. Like, he had really interesting, big ideas for stuff, but the execution of the stories didn't really suit, like, for me, didn't satisfy my needs for how big of a writer he was for a while there. And then he took some time away from DC, and now that he's come back and he's doing this, and I think whatever time he took away from writing superhero comics, and then he wrote some of the other things that we talked about in the show. I remember we talked about that dungeon book that he did. He did all these creator-owned miniseries and stuff like that. I think he kind of really found his creative juices again, kind of got him going, because this book, he's killing it on this book, man. I can't say enough good things about this title. This second arc has really been amazing. This Bane story, I love it. It's good stuff. What'd you give this?
A 4.75.
Wow. I was gonna go 4.5, but I can't argue that. I might just join you on the 4.75. I'm not gonna give it a 5, but it's right there. It's great.
It's right there. It's just this one little.
Yeah.
If more happened in this issue, that's the only thing. It's sort of being dragged out a bit slow, but I'm down for the ride though. It's
great.
Especially now that you say he can't stick landings. I'm just gonna be happy for this year, and then freaking Batman better not wake up and it's going to be a fucking dream or something.
Well, we'll see. That might be the Scott Snyder of old. I don't know. At least for me, there's been, and I wouldn't say all the time, but there was some stuff that I feel like the ending sucked for series that he's done in the past. That's my one big criticism, I feel like, of Scott Snyder. And he has his fans and he has his detractors. There's people that don't like his stuff, right? But this guy has done so many issues of Batman over the years working for DC, from Batman, his New 52 series, to all these other miniseries that he did of Batman after he did the main series. I've never seen a Batman like this in any of those. And he did all those heavy metal, or is it called dark metal and all
death metal.
And those books are crazy. Don't get me wrong. There's crazy stuff going on in those books. But it never was as good as this. This is probably my favorite version of whatever the hell he's doing. I've never seen a version of Batman like this. He's really bringing his all, I think, in this book. It's good stuff. Next up, we got Trinity, daughter of Wonder Woman, #4.
I think this is a comic that is just floating under everybody's radar, floating under mine, but I enjoy reading it every time. I don't know why. Here we have whatever the youngest Trinity. She's chasing the Robin Corgi into Bruce, I guess, the Wayne Manor, and it seems to be just the day before or the day of Batman's wedding. The way they portray Bruce Wayne, being sort of frazzled and all sort of worried about what's going to happen in the wedding. Okay, I don't buy that, but it works for the story. And just the saddest part there is where the whatever Trinity is almost telling Alfred about what's going to happen. It's like, oh, I don't know if I should tell you this. And it's like the freaking, well, you're going to die. And freaking Bruce and Selena don't get married. And it's just the worst news that she could give him. And, he takes it like a champ. It's like, well, whatever happens is the way it's going to be, And yeah, I'm happy we had a good day here. I guess, she has some cutesy laughs with Batman and Selena and everybody in there. It's, comparing this to like absolute Batman, it's like the polar opposite, but it's still just as good.
This it's so funny to me that this book is working for you. Usually you're like, this is not, I feel like I guess that speaks to how good the book is, because like usually I feel like you call this like sappy or corny or whatever the hell whatever word you want to use, but like I don't know, it just usually does not seem like the vibe you're looking for and stuff.
Tell me I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong.
No, it's a solid book. I'm enjoying it too. I just find it surprising of you to have been enjoying this. Quite frankly, you've been really like championing this book, honestly, even more than I have been. I think it's good, but you really like this book. So yeah, that's
thought that was a fun read. Like I don't want to like it, but it's always got good characters, got great art.
I can't disagree with you. No, it's a solid book. I like how they call what it's called, Robin Corgi Puppy. Is that the name of this? Yeah. They keep calling it by its like full name, Robin Corgi Puppy. And then you got Ace the Bat Hound, who shows up in this issue, of course.
Yeah, they're just trashing the house and
yeah. And of course, it's kind of fun because Tom King is literally playing in his own sandbox of continuity here. These events that they're depicting with them almost getting married was literally from his run. So it's kind of it's kind of just revisiting this story that he wrote through the eyes of this character. So it's kind of also fun that he's able to poke fun at things that had happened in this run. And like you said, the talk with Alfred, that scene was fantastic when she reveals all that stuff. He's like, flabbergasted. He's like, oh, okay. So good stuff. What'd you give this?
I'm just worried that they're going to use this to bring back both Steve and Alfred now. Because now they're both in the River Styx, kind of floating around. Now they're going to meet up.
That's a good point. I'd be okay with that. Bring it back. If this is the series that brings Alfred back, that would be so weird. But let's not forget, Tom King's also the one that killed him off. So, hey, I'm okay with that if that happens. By all means. Even if this maybe, let's say this connects back to the main Wonder Woman ongoing series and he comes back in that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that too. I just don't think he should be dead. I think that's stupid. I'm so surprised that they stuck with that of all things. Although, like, he shows up in so many books still, although he's dead. Like, because it's all like, this was in the past. Like, they're constantly still using Alfred. Even in the new Batman, he's an AI, but he's there, right? So, like, just bring the guy back already. This is enough of this. Like, you guys could prove you cannot write this. You cannot do the comics without him. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like they've ever stopped writing about it. It's not like Gwen Stacy, for years, I'm not talking about now. For years, there was mention of her, but she never showed up in the comics, right? Like, they've ruined that now. But, but anyways, what'd you give this?
I have a 4. It's good stuff.
I'll give it a 3.75. It is good stuff, though. I agree. Captain America #3, Chris.
Yeah, this one, hasn't been showing up in my pull list. I hate to say it. I'm not too sad about it. For whatever reason, I don't know. I think they might have had to explain what the heck is going on here in the beginning to kind of set the stage of where and how this is happening. I'm still, like, I think I mentioned maybe that in the last one, I'm still having a hard time figuring out where this is in the world. It just seems to be in its own little pocket, and that's it. I guess, you have Captain America, and he's a guest of of Doom there, and Doom is like kind of tell, oh, when I was a kid, we had a common enemy, and Doom's trying to tell Captain America, the world that you're come back to now, it's not much different than what we do here. You got to make sure you're on the right side, and it seems that the government, is a little dirty here, and maybe Captain America's just kind of blindly following orders. I'll give it some rope still, and I'm down to read more of it, but I was hoping to enjoy this more.
This was my least favorite issue so far, so I get where you're coming from with that. That being said, I'm finally getting a handle of, like, it seems like the older parts where they're showing him like in Afghanistan or wherever the hell he was here, or is Iraq, or like this war that this other Captain America was in. Like, those scenes are like the faded colors, right?
Yeah, not sort of like the origin of this new Captain America, let's say.
Right. So that's cool. Like, he's using those scenes to juxtapose with the current day stuff. I'm not so mad at that. That's fine. These are two different types of stories. He's trying to show like a modern day war Captain America thing, which is not from too far from our present day time. I get what he's going for there. I did like the scene with Doom, like how he literally has a statue of Steve there. You wouldn't think of these two characters having, well, he doesn't have any respect for Doom, but like them respecting Captain America, right?
Yeah,
like
so much.
So that's interesting. There's still some interesting stuff going on, but it's not gelling 100%. Like, for me, I agree with you. It's a little all over the place. I don't love certain aspects of the story, but like you said, it's Zdarsky. I'll give him some rope as well. I'll at least give it the first arc. I think there's some interesting things going on here, but I'm not buying it 100%. And like you said, this whole timeline of like the continuity of like when this is taking place and how he basically is just using him in present day, yet he's just come out of the ice. I still don't love that aspect of the book.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's who yet. Like, is this new Captain America supposed to be a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Or is he going to be a good guy that turns bad? Or is Captain America going to inspire him to be good? But we don't even know if Captain America's good yet, or if the government's good or bad. Like, everything's still sort of up in the air. So hopefully a lot of this gets answered by the end of this arc, and we can move on to whatever plans he has with it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm willing to see it through a bit more, because like we just had something similar, if we're going to compare it to other titles, like with Amazing Spider-Man, right? Like that kind of just, the whole
a few issues to get going.
The whole direction of that book and what has gone on and what we've been reading and the context of stuff we were reading just kind of got flipped on its head in that title. So like, but I don't know really Zdarsky to be that kind of writer. So like, that's where I'm like, I don't know what, like, this is a very different type of story, I feel like, that I've seen him like write before, like the approach he's taking here. So we'll see. But this was my least favorite issue, I feel like, so far. I really liked the first issue. The second one, I was trying to find my footing still, but I still enjoyed this one. I was like, I was like, I don't know about this book. This is the one I was kind of starting to question the direction, but we'll see. What'd you give this?
Yeah, it's 3.5 for me.
Yeah. The art's still really good, though, in it. I'm digging the artist on this book. I forgot his name, but he's really solid. I think it's Valerio Shitty, not Shitty, which I have learned. I seen him one day at a con. I'm like, hey, Valerio Shitty.
Hey, Mr. Shitty.
It's pronounced Shitty. No, that didn't actually happen. I've heard the stories. All right, Ultimate Wolverine number 9, our last book here this week.
Got my copy here. Somewhere. Oh, yeah, there we go. Crazy things in this one, too. Different kind of crazy, but still pretty cool. It looks like whatever this resistance, they have some like covert op to go. I forget who they're trying to save on some freaking Sentinel island. And they've commandeered a Sentinel, and they use that as a ship to get there. And I guess they break into this island. Who are they trying to? Aren't they trying to save somebody?
Yes. Who the hell is it again? Yeah, there's Sentinels. They are. I think you're right. I think they are trying to save somebody. I forgot who the hell it was, though.
Yeah, I don't even think they got to save the person.
Really, no, they didn't, because he started fighting all these like Sentinels and everything else there, and and you went berserker mode. Oh yeah, this is the one where like the Sentinels are like fused with like the X-Men.
Yeah, like there's a master mold that is fused. I
Yeah,
imagine two. I know one was Cyclops, and that was crazy. It's got like Cyclops' head in
yeah,
the torso, and it freaking blasts.
that was
I'd
sick.
imagine the other was Havoc. I'm not sure, but
That was
like
sick.
he just had that circle there, so it would make sense. It was both of them, being brothers and stuff. But that's worth the price of admission. The Sentinel Cyclops head there, and it just blasts them. And then all the Russians go, okay, we got him. It's okay, he's dead. And then the Russian goes, oh, you don't know Weapon X or whatever. You don't know our Winter Soldier. Like, I know him. And freaking 2 seconds later, he's back in business, and he trashes the other Cyclops or other Sentinel, and poof, and whatever they do, they're trying to get off this island. They jump on the Sentinel and they fly away, and that island blows up. Just that's good stuff. Like, this is a fun issue too. They're exploring some crazy ideas.
I don't know. I actually don't know if they were trying to save someone now. I'm thinking.
I don't know why they're going. I don't know if they're going there just to destroy the island. I don't think so.
No, I think this was them staging their attack. This is them making their move essentially against them. I think in this, I think it's because because they got all the Sentinels and all that going on there. They were saving someone in previous, like they were all. I don't think this one had anything to do with that though. But yeah, there was some great scenes in this one. I agree with you. This is a lot of fun. I hope that this doesn't get canceled with the other books, but we get maybe another arc at least. But we'll see, I guess. But this has really been amping up lately. I agree with you. It's been good stuff. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I give this 4.
Same.
4 as well.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 this week. Yeah. This was I love this idea with the Cyclops head shooting the beams. That was awesome.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for the books that we read this week that we wanted to talk about here. Chris, what are you looking forward to checking out next week? Unless there's anything else you wanted to mention. Anything else here?
No, that's if I can see a bit of a haul here. Well,
yes.
Haul.
Let's see it.
Going through the dollar bins, I found my buddy Liefeld there. A cover for Lady Pendragon from Maximum Press.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's some 80s Liefeld goodness. Out of the $2 bin, you can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
Look through the comic, didn't bother reading it. But that cover's nice. Right up my alley, as they say. And so for the new comics, this for the week of September 17th, I'll be reading Ultimate 16. Of course, we have the Marvel DC Deadpool Batman #1. I hope that's good, but even if it's not, it's still going to be a lot of nice covers. I think I got the Artgerm cover.
Oh, nice.
And let's see, we got Amazing Spider-Man 12. Oof, I saw some previews for this. I'm a little worried. Looks like all the Spider families coming together to talk to Norman Osborn. They don't know it's.
Of course,
they don't know who it is, but they know it's not Peter.
Yeah.
And let's see what else we got. Fantastic Four #3. Probably read that. Yeah, Predator kills the Marvel Universe. Yeah, I can read that one. That was
fun. That was fun. Yeah.
I'll probably read this Marvel Zombies Red Band. I've read some of the old Marvel Zombie stuff, and I was sort of sad that I missed out on it. Then I read that last Marvel Zombies one that was like for kids or something.
Yeah.
And that sort of took the taste out of my mouth. So I didn't really go in on this one, but maybe it's going to be good. And for DC, I don't know, is this Batman 162 coming out? I heard that the next Hush is going to come out to like January or something.
I don't think it's coming out. No, I don't have it on my list.
Okay. Maybe I'll see World's Finest. Wonder Woman 25. Let's see. Not much going on here. Oh, well, that's the Ash Can. Nothing. Yeah, so I know there might be some other ones I read if it's a slow week. See what's going on in Nightwing or Batman, Superman, World's Finest. Maybe check in on Catwoman. I don't think anything good's going on there. But we'll see. And let's see what Image got for me. Oh, Battle Beast, G.I. Joe, Exquisite Corpses, Seasons.
Yeah.
Witchblade. I think there's some variant cover if that comes out. Or maybe it's the next one. Oh, Creep Show. Ooh. Oh, Drawing Blood #9 too. Holy smokes! Image is putting it out next week. That's for sure. That's about it.
Yeah, I got a bunch here that you had mentioned as well. Yeah, World's Finest, Wonder Woman, Creep Show. A new Creep Show comes back. Exquisite Corpses, G.I. Joe, Battle Beasts, Seasons. The last issue of this ends tonight. This Jerry Duggan Jay Lee series, which sucks, but I got one more issue of it. Amazing Spider-Man, FF. Oh yeah, the biggest release of the week, of course, the Marvel DC Deadpool Batman. A New Avengers, which has kind of been like a fun under the radar series I've been enjoying. Predator Kills the Marvel Universe. First issue was fun. Ultimates and Runaways. Yeah, so pretty decent sized week this next week. So yeah, some good stuff I'm picking up and reading digitally as well. But yeah, big week for Image, it seems like, again. So all right, Chris, that's gonna do it for what we're looking forward to reading next week. Is it any surprise what our favorite book of the week is here this week?
Well, since everybody knows what it's going to be, let's talk about this outro.
Yeah, so stay tuned,
Yeah,
guys.
Go on.
I was gonna say, stay tuned. As soon as we're done talking about our favorite book of the week, our little like few second outro is gonna pop up on the screen. Make sure to check that out. Shout out to Julie once again. But yeah, go ahead. What do you say?
Yeah, spoiler alert: Absolute Batman is the best comic this week.
Yeah,
hands down.
Yeah, and I just
Transformers. If you came out on a different week, it could have been you.
I was literally just about to say the same thing. Yeah, that's the only runner up this week for me. And yeah, but Absolute Batman, that's it. As I dropped my copy and dinged up the corner. There we go. Yeah, that's our favorite of the week, hands down. I mean, Transformers was really solid though. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a shame. Like it was one of those things where I think I read Transformers before I even read Absolute Batman. And when I read Absolute Batman, I was like, oh.
What can you say?
I was like, again, like, I don't want to keep giving it to the same book, but I was like, this whole arc, I feel like I've given every issue like the favorite of the week, right? So,
if Absolute Batman could get Carrie Andrews to do an issue, I think freaking he'd blow that up too. Because he liked that crazy stuff. You know, this reminds us like that crazy rain business. And
yeah,
I don't want Carrie Andrews to go, you stay with Spider-Man and Wolverine.
I mean, between those two books and a promising start for the Punisher being back, this was a solid week. Good week of comics, honestly. Yeah, I can't complain about it. It was there wasn't anything that, I shit on too much this week, except for, I guess, that Imperial War book.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're expecting much out of that.
No,
anyway.
No, good week of comics. Good stuff coming out. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week. Next week will be, September 17th. We'll be talking about those comics next week. And stay tuned for the outro here. Once again, shout out to Julie. And if you missed out on the intro, you jumped ahead, make sure to go back and check that out. That'll be our new intro moving forward for the show. Make sure to like and subscribe. And thank you to Chris, as always. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you later.